don't know. You can choose any one of your players on the court as the first server. It affects the matchups, but so far it looks like we'll have approximately the same matchups in this second set as we saw in the first. Both teams about the same starting servers.
Amy Neal led the way in that first with 7 kills for Texas, and they outblocked Minnesota 4-1. Had a couple of aces, including at set point. And Brooks able to track it down, and the block for Minnesota. Brooks out there, they did not have a libero on the floor, and now Cap McCoy will return. As Neal gets blocked. Top and Loman are right there side by side. Here's Dally Santana.
Still targeting Neal.
They'll go back to Neal. Little miscommunication here for Minnesota. Now a chance back outside. Amy looking for a touch. Doesn't get it. Point Minnesota. One of the theories is you keep serving at one of the top hitters, you're going to make her work harder, you're going to wear her down as the night progresses. That's the intent here for Minnesota with Neal. And Santana trying to go right back to her. That's Brooks reaching over to help. Better able to put that one away. Point Texas. Nicole Dalton on the serve. Redshirted in 2013 with a hip injury, so she was actually with this senior class for the championship in 2012. Slammed home by Hannah Tapp.
That's a nice matchup. Hannah Tapp hitting against Amy Neal. And that's one of the setter's jobs, Beth. Between every play, she looks across the net. All right, who are the 3 blockers we're facing? Who are my 3 hitters? And how do I get the best matchup to exploit weakness?
Neal goes deep for the kill. 8 kills and 5 errors now in the match for Neal. She'll go back to serve.
Another thing that is the hallmark of a pretty well-played match when you just have pass, set, put it away. Pass, set, swing, put it away. Just 3 contacts.
Sullivan Swenson, slide the Page tap, there you go. Collins rolls it on 2. Rosado able to chicken wing it up. Bad pass for Texas into press row. Point Gophers. Minnesota team enjoying quite a run. The number 2 seed in this tournament, the highest in school history. They are playing in the semifinals for the 4th time. They are seeking their first national championship. All started with an overseas trip that they took last summer, and the team chemistry has been terrific. Holly?
Well, in between sets, Hugh McCutcheon took his Gopher team aside and said, look, we are not playing Gopher volleyball right now. We are not getting hands-on balls. Who are you out there? He said, we have to change. We can beat this team. We can do it, but you've got to change starting now.
Thank you, Holly. And there's a kill for Minnesota. Certainly McCutcheon, even though Minnesota hasn't been here in a while, Karch, he knows about big matches. He's been a coach for both the U.S. men and the women at the Olympics with a silver and a gold medal.
Coached in 2 Olympic finals. Beijing, great success for the men, and then London for the women. Ooh, that was going out.
Santana right at McCoy. Well placed by the libero, and tooling the block is Prieto Sarame.
And a nice choice by Chloe Collins to set Prieto Sarame so she could attack against the weakest blocker at the net at that time for Minnesota, Seliger Swenson. Watch her hit that right hand. Always a good spot to hit is that outside hand of a 2-person block.
Not always a compliment to be a game manager if you're a quarterback in football, but a game manager for a setter like Collins, critical to her continued improvement and making good decisions. Going to Prieto Sarame, that tips it.
And it starts with the set that Collins didn't get as far or fast as she wanted to. You can see right after the play she was apologizing to Priya Sarame. Did put it in a good spot.
Minnesota by 1. H-tap back to serve. Collins. High for Priya Sarame off the block that time. A little bit better hookup.
Much better setter. That's something that setters will do. If I'm your setter and you're my hitter and I give you a lousy one, I want to make up for it. So I may well repeat, just give you something better to keep you hungry and keep you ready. Put by Collins, but too close to the net.
Minnesota in transition. Santana, the tip covered by Collins. Taking the tips. That was job number 1 for this Texas defense tonight. Neal, and a net violation called on Texas.
The Texas defense is making a little mistake because Chloe Collins is in the backcourt right now. So if you dig the ball close, she has to run 15 or 20 feet. That momentum might carry her right into the net as it did there.
13 straight side outs here as the teams go back and forth. The overpass. And Minnesota will end that with the point. Molly Lohman, the sophomore out of Mankato, has it.
Minnesota still having some success making Amy Neal work. Now she has a very small space of court to cover because Captain Toy is coming over to help out.
So that's 9.
Well, you got to give her a lot of credit. As a freshman, hitting almost 300, and she's never played on the right side. She was a left side hitter, an outside hitter all through her high school club career. She's had to learn, and she still has a ton to learn, but you got to give her a lot of credit. Learning a new position. That's a big theme for lots of teams here in these national semifinals.
We'll see that in our next matchup, certainly for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. A big reason why they are here. And a chance to play in the national semifinals just 54 miles from their campus in Lincoln. They will face Kansas in our second match tonight. Texas with a 1-set lead over Minnesota. And it's the Gophers with a 1-point lead here in the second.
And that's a strategy a lot of servers will use too, Beth, is if they want to go at somebody like they're trying to go at Neal right down the line, they'll just get right in front of her like, hey, I'm going right at you. And let's see what you can do about it.
Swenson able to set Lohman again. Seliger-Swenson settling down a little bit after that shaky first set. You know, she is the daughter of a former player and a coach. Her mom, Vicky, actually was her high school coach. She played at Iowa State, said, my mom taught me the love of the game, how to be a leader, and to call the ball. And take charge in just her rookie season. She actually went to Minnesota early last winter and enrolled and was able to play in the spring because she knew that they were going to have a terrific club coming back this year.
That's how her mom would leave her every time. Good luck and call the ball. She's got that drilled in. That last set by Collins, really good in terms of height, speed, kept her hitter, Amy Neal, in rhythm, who now goes back to the line and has switched to this jump spin serve, this jump attack serve in the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season. Had some success because she's no longer afraid or terrified to make errors.
Santana into the net, point Minnesota. By the way, how hard is it to come here and win with a rookie running the show? Hasn't happened often in 34 years. In fact, just 3 times. Bryn Keogh and Rachel Holloway, the only 2 that were setting a 5-1 offense.
Exactly, a 5-1, and that really signifies that 1 means it's a 1-setter offense instead of a 2-setter offense. Both these teams are running 1-setter offenses with Collins for Texas and Seliger-Swenson for Minnesota. But that means it's all in a freshman's hands. She's making every second contact. Kehoe, the first one to do it as the 1-setter offense.
Serve again to Neal. McCage is there. I guess there's 2 ways to approach it, Coach. When you know the other team is picking on you, it can weigh on your mind, or you can kind of thumb your nose at them and say, all right, bring it on.
Yeah, and some players relish that. Hey, I want to carry the load. I want to make the first contact and the third contact. I'll pass, send me the ball. You see, Texas had 2 players under the block on that. They are not going to let the tip go down. Minnesota is going to have to change something, and Hugh McCutcheon calls timeout.
That left Prieto Cerame wide open for the kill, and Texas with a 1-0 lead in games, also up 1 here in the second. But she's hitting just a .158. Again, the hitting percentage very similar to your batting average in baseball. You want to be above 300. And that's a good day. Prieto Cerame gets another swing at it, and a tough pass for Minnesota.
What's interesting is Texas hanging in there, but Texas is not serving tough. Minnesota is passing. That's the first contact, making really good passes, so they're able to run their offense. Let's see how this pass is. Another good pass where they get a one-on-one situation. So it's surprising that Texas is hanging in so well in this set, not serving very tough.
Sarah Wilhite. She was out early in the season, and when she came back, things really started to come together for Minnesota after they lost their first 2 matches of the year. They have won 30 of 32 since. Point there for Texas. For Minnesota, winners of the Big Ten Conference for the first time in 13 years, and that included a win, by the way, against Nebraska just up the road in Lincoln. If the two were to meet up again in the final. A 30-win season. And again, they could become the first team ever to win a championship a year after missing the tournament. They were watching from home last year. Seliger Swenson to tap. That's stuffed. Should go the other way to Santana. There's a tip. Effective.
Before the last play, we saw Coach McCutcheon talking with Wilhite on the bench. One of the things he was talking about is his coaching style has evolved. He used to stand and be closer to the action, but he's chosen for this season to sit, has much more trust in the players, and likes to sit them down when they come out and have a little chat, maybe get them back to a more calm state if they're a little out of control.
Oh, definite height there, and good up from Abagu. Point Texas. She can jump out of the gym.
She sure can. She's been having a lot of success with that slide behind the setter.
Biddles were terrific against Florida in the region final last week. Tap off the tips. McCoy able to dig it up. Neal slowed down by the block. Seliger Swenson will set behind again for the kill.
Boy, I sure love the work by Tap. You saw her come off the block, make that circular approach, and that's such good work that she made herself available a second time in that rally. And her setter has great confidence in her to do that.
The Tap sisters a combined 11 kills, just a couple of errors. Neal, good elevation. Amy Neal now with 11 kills.
Another thing Texas is having a lot of success at is attacking the line, going around the end blockers in Minnesota. They might want to move that block out a little, force more cross court from somebody like Neal.
Abagu with the serve. Seliger Swenson going back to Hannah. Good results out there.
It starts with a good pass and a one-on-one. That's a tough situation for Texas and Amy Neal. She's at a disadvantage on that play.
Santana serving. Brooks able to cover for Neal. Backs up Bedarhani with the tip around the block. Free ball Texas. Collins looking back to Neal. Stuffed. Played across. Wilhite through the block. That gets dug up and hammered it home. It's Hannah Tap. Point Minnesota. And we are even at 16 apiece.
And the opportunity started with the Minnesota block moving outside and getting a near stuff block on Amy Neal, giving them the ball which turns into a free ball and a good swing by Will Height. Brooks just missing that dig. There's the block that started that rally. Nice hustle by Texas, but they had to give a free ball over the net to Minnesota.